Okay, camera set, microphones on, perfect. Alright, you could come in now.
What's up? It's been forever.
Oh no, not- Okay, so why are you here?
I have another story for you and your documentaries.
Listen, the last documentary with you did terrible. I didn't get paid anything for it. So what makes you think I'll interview you again? You'll probably give me another boring story about some video game.
Hey, how did you know?
Oh gosh, dang.
My brother, who goes by Cyniq online, saw the last documentary and decided to record the second Psychonauts game with me in hopes he could be on the camera next.
And so why isn't he here?
Well, he lost the footage we recorded. Little did he know I actually moved all the clips to a different file hidden away from him.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to be here to talk to you. It's so much fun.
For you, yeah it is, but not for me. Now listen, I'm not doing this again. Get out.
What? That's not fair.
It's not fair for me to sit down and listen about a game with self-inflicted rules I don't care about. Oh, hold on, my phone's ringing. Hello? Yeah, he's here. 15 minutes minimum? Oh, come on, you can't expect me to listen to him again. Don't you remember how bad the last documentary he was in did? Why did you even fly him out here? He was begging? Yeah, that sounds like something he'd do. Ugh, fine, I better get paid well for this. Okay, tell me, how did this game go?
Glad you came around. If you remember last time, I controlled the left side of the controller, which consisted of the movement and a few side powers, while my brother controlled the attacking and jumping buttons, and a few other side powers. It's the exact same for Psychonauts 2.
Does this game pick up on the same story as last time? What was it? You defeated the meat coach and ate him, I think?
Right? At the end of the first game, Rasputin, the playable character, became a Psychonaut and went on a mission with everyone else to save Truman Zanotto, the head of the Psychonauts. This led into the VR game we're skipping over, where he was found in the Rhombus of Ruin with Dr. Loboto, a villain from the first game. We need to find out who hired him to do this though, so that's the goal.
Okay. So Truman was kidnapped by a doctor?
Dentist.
Okay, whatever. Kidnapped by a dentist. And he was hired by someone, so now you need to find who he was hired by?
Exactly.
Okay, this is stupid already. I'm not doing this.
What about your payment?
I hate you.
The game opens up in an office building where Sasha, Nine, and Mia Vodello are announcing who the Employee of the Year is. Turns out it isn't us, it's Dr. Loboto.
See, I'm telling you.
Let me finish! For Loboto to get his award for winning Employee of the Year, he needs to sign on a piece of paper who his boss is. He gets scared and runs off, so we need to follow him. Turns out we aren't in any normal office building. We're actually in a construct we built in Loboto's mind. This acts as a tutorial for the game, introducing almost every single side power from Psychonauts 1. Quickly, my brother noticed the camera sensitivity being a bit weird, but we got used to it fast. Due to the controls being much more smooth in this game, we both assumed platforming would be much easier. However, as we'll see soon, it isn't. For the first side power in the level, telekinesis, my brother took it. It actually turned out to be useful in combat. Oh yeah, fighting, the bane of this run's existence. Sometimes throughout the game, there's an arena full of enemies we need to defeat. I don't have any attacking moves. I usually just run around, but my brother tries to take on every enemy at once, leading to many deaths.
Are you sure you're not causing these deaths?
Impossible! On our first fight against a few sensors, we ended up finding ourselves stuck in a corner and getting destroyed. Luckily, we survived. Next up was Side Blast, which my brother also took. It's our best form of combat and will help us a lot throughout the run. However, during the battle with the Regret, we took our first death. Though to be fair, our first game over was caused by us not knowing the enemy dealt half of our health. We survived the next try though. Next up is Pyrokinesis, which I took. It's decent for battling, mainly used to destroy doubts, but other than that, it's kind of useless. We died here again, by the way. The final side power we used in Loboto's Labyrinth is Levitation, our best mode of transportation. It's not used at all for combat, mainly for platforming, which is very welcome. However, even with the levitation boost, we still struggled during the parkour segment. After we learned that, we find Loboto being pressured to remember the plan by his boss. We don't know who this guy is yet. However, we do get to see our first look at the main threat of the game, Maligula.
Who is Maligula?
Someone who fought the Psychic Six many years ago and tore them apart after the fight.
What?
After we leave Loboto's mind, the gang converses over who Maligula is, and everyone comes to the conclusion that there's a mole in the Psychonauts trying to revive her. That can wait, however. We need to bring Truman. Oh yeah, we have his lifeless body.
He's dead?
No, he's just unconscious. Now stop interrupting me. Anyway, we make it to the Motherlobe, the Psychonauts headquarters. It's here where we meet Hollis Forsyth, a powerful Psychonaut who demotes us to intern. We're gonna blow up her mind later. Now we need to head to class in the Motherlobe. So after getting lost and spamming our way through the tutorial, we meet up with the other interns who we are now classmates with. For our first interaction, they steal our clothes and then lock us in a closet. Fantastic. We end up learning a new psi power, clairvoyance, during the segment, which I took, but to be honest, it's probably the most useless ability in the game.
What's clairvoyance?
How do you not remember this? It was in the last game!
You actually think I paid attention to you?
Yeah, you ask questions regularly.
That's an exaggeration. I barely did.
Sure. Well, clairvoyance is just a way to see life through other people's eyes. We use it this time to find a passcode to leave the closet. Then, we get caught by Sasha and given his lab clothes. Not sure why they changed our clothes in this game, but the fit's really fire, so I don't mind. We aren't getting our old clothes back, so I don't care anyway. After meeting with Hollis in her office, we're given a mentor, Nick John Smith. This guy's awesome. The way isn't there in the mailroom, so we sorted it out for him. Then we find him dead.
Wow, so the mole struck again?
Yeah, we gotta figure out who stole his brain.
Wait, so is he dead or not?
Why are you so interested in that? No, of course he isn't.
Whatever, just keep going.
We find a key to the Lady Luctopus, a casino, in Nick's pocket, so the Psychonauts plan to go on a mission there. None of the interns are going, though, due to Hollis. So we all meet in her classroom for the first fight in the game. Hollis's, well, classroom. In here, we learn a new psi power, mental connections, the ability to form new thoughts, ideas, and beliefs within people's minds. Immediately, the bully interns push us to change Hollis's idea on not letting us go to the mission. So we escape class and find Hollis going into a hospital where her safe place is. But first, we need to take down a few enemies, specifically bad ideas. Beating these guys are as simple as using telekinesis to shoot back their light bulbs. Inside the hospital, we learn of Dr. Potts, the mentor to Hollis when she worked at the hospital. This guy took Hollis's ideas and claimed it as his own, getting all the credit. We'll come back to him though. We find Hollis in her safe space with a bunch of thoughts, so after a quick puzzle, we connect the ideas, risk and money, which convinces Hollis to take us on the mission. Unfortunately though, we turned her into a gambling addict.
What? What kind of game is teaching people to turn others into gamblers?
You're overthinking it, don't worry. On the mission at the Lady Luctopus, Hollis sneaks off to gamble, forcing us to hunt her down and enter the second half of her mind, Hollis's Hot Streak. Technically, this is the same part of her mind we're exploring, except now it's all been ruined by bad thoughts. We run into another fight right outside the hospital against the Heavy Sensor and his brothers. Heavy Sensors are tanks, requiring many hits to kill. They also have projectile attacks which killed us at our first attempt at the fight. Luckily, our second time around went smoother. Inside the hospital casino, we find Hollis in the High Rollers Lounge, which we cannot enter unless we have $3 gazillion.
And you don't, so that's the game. We can wrap it up now.
Shush! Anyway, to get $3 gazillion, we need to combat against the casino games and rig them. To do that, we need to alter Hollis's mental thoughts in semi-challenging platforming segments. The first one we tried, the maternity, finds us performing decently difficult jumps while avoiding exploding bad thoughts along the way. It took me and my brother a lot of coordination, but we eventually got it down and disconnected the thoughts, defiance, and uselessness. With that, we get $1 gazillion, the rich couple have their baby, and they plan to start manipulating it.
What?
It's just a mental baby, calm down. Next up was cardiology, the room where people can bet on a card to win a race. What we're after though is the heart, which if it wins, gives us $1 gazillion. Unfortunately though, the heart is injured, so we need to prove help isn't a negative by platforming over electric shocks. Luckily, the levitation ball comes in clutch here. However, it's still difficult to time our jumps with the electricity and the messy co-op controls. We do make it through though and help Hollis realize getting help is good. With that, we bet on the heart, race for it, win, and get ourselves $1 gazillion. Last up is the pharmacy, which is like a pinball table, except it's blatantly rigged against us. The winning hole with $1 gazillion is blocked off by a missing heart, so we need to bring it back. After a really easy puzzle that totally did not take us forever to complete, we make it to the easiest of the 3 platforming segments. It consists of a lot of bouncing and shooting. Once we convince Hollis to not hide her feelings, her heart comes back and we can try again at pinball. Turns out this is more difficult than it seems. We still need to win the game by getting into the $1 gazillion hole, but that's easier said than done. All my brother had to do was jump while I moved, but that proved to be difficult as we missed the hole over and over again until a few tries later we finally got it, earning us $1 more gazillion.
Now you find Hollis, tell her how much you're sorry, and everyone's happy. The end. Wow, I can go home.
You must have grown up in a rainbow land if you think this ends with that. No! Instead we need to fight the bad idea we created, Lady Luctopus. She's captured all the interns who are for some reason in here with us too. And so now it's up to us to stop her in the first boss fight of the run. Boss fights in Psychonauts 2 are usually easy, this one included. All we need to do is shoot a bad idea at her tentacle and climb up to her head to destroy the heart. Simple enough. The attacks she shoots at us aren't too difficult to dodge, other than the bad idea one, but even then we could avoid those easily. After getting the final hits and saving the interns, we can finally revert Hollis' mind back to normal. After getting a look at her mind and finding out we caused the gambling mess, Hollis gets really mad at us, but fortunately she can empathize with Raz as she is also messed with someone else's mental thoughts. Only she couldn't fix it herself. That's how she became a Psychonaut. So with newfound confidence and respect for the people we help, we head out of her mind into a quick segment storming the Lady Luctopus with our fellow interns. The only thing giving us trouble here was the rail grinding, since I had to control which rail we were going to, and my brother controlled when we jumped between rails. It was confusing and took a few tries, but we got it down. After all of that messiness, we finally make it to the suite that was mentioned in Nick's pocket. After a little investigation, we find a bunch of evidence of the illusionists are trying to revive Maligula. These people also have something to do with Lily, so we plan on meeting with her once we're back at the Motherlobe. Before I continue, any thoughts on who the mole is?
Huh? Oh, honestly, there isn't enough evidence to conclude anything. Maybe the coach again? I don't know, just keep going.
Before being able to see Lily, Sasha stops us to talk about our actions in Hollis' mind. I don't know what he's on about, but he saved her and totally didn't do anything else. After that, we finally meet with Lily and talk with her about the evidence Raz found. However, she runs off due to her insecurities about being a bad daughter before we can get anything conclusive.
Oh, so the mole's obviously her.
What? Just then, Truman Sonata wakes up. He tells Raz not to tell a soul that he's alive as the mole could hear us. The whole world is at stake if Maligula is revived, so we need to find Ford Crawler and bring him to Truman. You remember Ford, right?
Not really.
Well, that sucks. Anyway, to summon Ford, we have to find a piece of bacon off the ground and he shows up. He isn't acting normal though, so we head inside his mind. This isn't actually a level at all. This is mainly story exposition. It also lasts like 3 to 4 minutes. All we need to do is light the torches to reveal the Psychic 6, and then reveal the hidden 7th member nobody talks about anymore, Lucretia Mux. After a quick boat ride, we see how fractured and broken Ford's mind is. Whoever destroyed it didn't want it being put back together. What we do know is that Lucretia's involvement in the Psychic 6 and Ford's life overall led to this, which is also why he doesn't want us putting his mind back together. We now have to chase Ford down in 3 different locations: the hair salon, the bowling alley, and the mailroom. Each of those areas has a piece of Ford's mind we need to put back together to learn the truth about Maligula. Unfortunately though, we can't get into the bowling alley without a senior pass. And we can't get into the mailroom without having the mailman, Nick, open the door for us. However, Nick's brainless. We can enter into the hair salon though with the help of Truman's fingerprint, entering the first of 3 Ford mines. The gimmick to Ford's Follicles is hair.
Ew.
No, it gets worse. There's also lice everywhere we need to get rid of with water.
Even worse.
This level's the shortest of the 3 mines, and thus didn't pose a big problem to the co-op run. Instead, I'll talk about the story of this mine. Each of the 3 Ford mines tell us about Ford's relationship with Lucretia and the traumatizing battle with Maligula.
Wait, so is Maligula Lucretia?
What makes you think that?
Just think about it. Lucretia's the 7th member of the Psychic 6, leading me to believe she was ostracized from the group. Maybe she betrayed the group as Maligula?
That's a really good theory to make this early. Here's a bit more information for you. Grulovia was this nation long ago that no longer exists due to the battle with Maligula. Lucretia was called to protect the Tsar of Grulovia from, mind you, peaceful protesters. Something happened in Grulovia between Lucretia and peaceful protesters that's given Ford a ton of regret for not stepping in fast enough.
Interesting. What about the other Ford mines?
Well, we can't access those quite yet. My brother and I decided to go for the bowling alley next. This led us outside to meet our family, who end up embarrassing us in front of the interns. Thanks, guys. After a bit of exploration outside the Motherlobe, we find the Psycho Isolation Chamber, which has one guest in it right now. Compton Bull, one of the Psychic Six.
Why is one of the Psychic Six in isolation?
I'll get into that, but first, he wants us to go get a bee. Compton's an animal whisperer and wants to find Cassie, another of the Psychic Six. This leads us into the forest where we fall for the same trap twice and get jumped by the Green Needle Witch.
I'm sorry, who is the Green Needle Witch?
Goodness, you ask a lot of questions. She's someone we'll return to in the future. Just keep her in the back of your mind.
Okay then.
Before returning to Compton, we go ahead and speak with our family, who are all practicing for their circus act. Did I ever tell you that Raz is from a circus?
I kind of just assumed it from the last level of the first game.
Glad to see you pick up on that. Here, the player meets Raz's parents, sisters, brothers, and grandmother named Nona. We also help Dolan, Raz's older brother, set up the circus tent, which gives us this cool dive ability. It'll definitely come in handy for platforming later on. Finally returning to Compton, we give him the bees, plural because we got 3, and he freaks out because there's too many voices in his head. He may blow our heads up because he's freaking out, which is why he's in isolation, by the way. So we enter his mind to figure out what's going on. Compton's cook-off begins inside a dish with a bell in it. As the name implies, this is a mind all about food and cooking it under pressure. Compton's big issue is self-judgment, which is a new enemy we see a lot in his mind. These guys take a lot of damage by throwing their own gavels at them. But after that, you're just left to shoot them over and over again with your side blasts. Judges gave us a lot of trouble in general. After defeating one in a mini-boss, we accidentally ring the bell, which begins the cooking competition. The host is Compton's mental image of Truman Zanato, while the judges are the mental images of Hollis, Ford, and Otto.
Well, I know the others, but who is Otto exactly?
Another of the Psychic Six. He's actually the least relevant to the plot, but we'll discuss him later. Anyway, our first meal requires us to boil an egg and chop up an onion. The first of 3 rounds actually didn't give us any trouble. They gave us 8 minutes to perform 2 basic tasks. The only difficulty was not dying to the traps set along the floor. For finishing in time, we're given the award of half a brain to add to our health. In between rounds, there's a quick ad segment where we fight a wave of enemies. The ads are humorous themselves, but the fights, not so much. With the damage we took from the first round's traps added onto the fact we suck at battling in this game, led to us dying to the judge and having to restart that fight. Luckily, the second try went smoother.
I'm confused. Compton worked with Hollis, Ford, Otto, and Truman, right?
Yep.
So why are they personified as judges inside his mind?
Because he's always assumed they were judging him, when in fact, it was always him to begin with. The reason he even joined the Psychonauts was because he tapped into his powers of blowing things up after freeing a bunch of animals and then getting overwhelmed by their voices.
Oh my gosh, did he kill all the animals?
Unintentionally, yeah, which traumatized him, but the story reached the Psychonauts and so he was hired on. Leading into the second round, we need to boil another egg, blend a strawberry, chop up some bread, and then fry it. This is another round that went smoothly, apart from the few traps that continued to get us along the way. My brother also kept grabbing the wrong ingredients and then throwing them across the room, so that was fun. Our reward for finishing on time was another half a brain. During the second ad, we find a few regrets and another judge. This one we actually survived without dying. The final round has us frying an egg, boiling a beehive, chopping up not only a boar but also a watermelon, frying the boar, and then blending the watermelon. It's a lot that they require in only 5 minutes. Our first attempt at this round was going well. We had managed to use our time wisely boiling the beehive and then chopping up the boar and watermelon. We were actually getting close to finishing when the traps on the floor killed us, forcing us to redo the entire round. The second try was very close due to a lot of errors on my brother's part. He grabbed the longest ingredients to finish first, leading us to waiting on the beehive to finish and then rushing to get the watermelon with only a few seconds left. After a struggle to hit the button, the round was finished with only a few seconds to spare. Our prize was an emotional baggage tag that we never ended up getting. This is the round Compton gets through his fear of being judged and delivers the explanation to our food, though he's going to need to pull his weight during the double down round. This is the boss fight against the judges, or as the game calls them, gluttonous goats. We need to shoot the right ingredients into this pipe so Compton can cook a meal in this isolation kitchen and give it to us. Then we hand feed the judges the food, which makes one of them blow up from how much they eat.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I know. What's more disgusting is their signature attack of barfing. Luckily, we both figured out riding on our levitation ball clears the vomit away. Near the end, they spawned a judge and heavy sensor on us, which gave us a bit of trouble. But come on, this is a Psychonauts 2 boss fight, we still survive. Finally, we feed the final of the judges and defeat them, revealing that they were hand puppets Compton was moving around the whole time.
Aha, so he's evil.
No, like I said earlier, it was self-judgment.
Oh.
With Compton helped out, we now have his senior card to the bowling alley. Compton may be out of the way, but not Ford. It's time to jump into the second of his mines. Strike City is the best of the 3 Ford levels. Its platforming is fun and has a bit of charm to it. It centers around the romantic relationship between Ford and Lucretia, the mine being specifically themed off of germs and bowling.
How do those two at all relate?
Well, if you let me finish, I'd tell you. Ford and Lucretia dated, however it didn't last. As you know, she became Maligula. In the Germ City, everyone's scared of the big spray, which will wipe them out. That's symbolism of how Ford knew the relationship wouldn't last, and yet he still had some hope. Anyway, the actual level was a bit challenging, especially if you only have half a controller. The gimmick is with these bowling balls you must roll around and ride on to progress through the city. There are these foul zones you can't get through without a bowling ball, so a few puzzles rely on you getting your ball through germs, platforming, or just random obstacles thrown about. Trying to move around with the ball can be a bit slippery as coming to a complete stop is difficult. This led to me accidentally pushing us off the edge a few times. However, the cake for the worst Psychonauts 2 bowling ball roller goes to my brother who missed jump after jump after jump. Each missed jump forced us to retry and it was infuriating at points. The worst was at the end where you need to navigate this construction site. They give you elevators to make falling more bearable, but the platforming itself is tight for such a big ball. We made it nonetheless and fixed up that fraction of Ford's mine.
I'm confused. What does bowling have to do with any of this?
Because that's what Lucretia and Ford did for our first date. They went bowling.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Moving on, now all we need to do is find Nick a brain and get to Ford. So we began our trek outside by heading to the lobby, where we were met with this.
This is the lobby?
Nobody comes down here.
There's some weird kid right over there.
So what? He's not gonna tell your husband anything.
I'm not so sure what Sherri and Chet were discussing and planning on keeping secret from Sherri's husband, but Chet threw quite a few punches at us, so we did too. Now the only plan is to find Sherri's husband to tell him about what's going on. We didn't find him inside Otto's lab, so we pulled out his mental thought tuner thing. But we couldn't find Sherri's husband that way either. And so we went to the back where he has a bunch of braids and found a specific one to enter into.
Why are you entering into this brain's mind? I'm pretty sure the person who owns it is dead without their brain, so there would be nothing, right?
Well, yeah, but for some reason, not this one. Everything's pitch black except for this light orb who's voiced by Jack Black. I'm just gonna call this guy Jack for now. Anyway, Jack owns his mind, but since he's been away from his body, there's been no activity at all for years. Luckily, since it's empty, we can take his brain and stick it into Nick's body. So it's time to head back to the mailroom. But first, we stopped by the lobby to spy on Sherri and Chet.
Chet, it's over. We've been discovered.
But Sherri, we promised each other that this year we'd throw your husband a surprise party.
Oh my goodness, we have made a crucial error.
Especially considering how understanding he was about our affair.
Giving the brain to Nick seems like a good idea at first, but then you remember that Jack hasn't said anything for a long while, so now he's saying this. To fix this, we hop into his mind one more time. Psyching Sensorium is a pretty awesome level. It starts out with a boss fight against a new enemy, Panic Attack, a pain in the butt for this challenge. So Jack Black freaks out from all day sensing now, summoning this guy. It's unfortunately too fast though, so we can't kill it. Luckily, Jack tells the universe to shut up and all is good. Now we're in his quiet place where he is trying to remember a bunch of distant memories until an eyeball takes him away. This guy's vision, one of the 5 senses we need to get for the full band. Without all the senses, the crowd of Nicks won't appreciate the music.
Oh, I get it. Wait, so whose mind is this actually?
Figure it out. Anyway, Jack's actually known as the Psy King around these parts. and wants to bring the band back together. Unfortunately, Vision's lost his instrument, so we head into his eye to get it back. This is a platforming segment, and it's unfortunately very easy. I say unfortunately because a challenging platforming section would be nice. Here we learn a new psi power, Time Stop, which does exactly like the name implies. In platforming, it's used to slow down fast-moving objects, fishes, and also panic attacks, which make a reappearance here. The most me and my brother struggled with were the fishes, as not only did I need to slow down the fish, but I also needed to communicate quickly with my brother on jumping onto it. The panic attacks were also a lot of trouble. They attack fast and are difficult to avoid. Time Bubble is annoying to inflict on them also. Luckily, this first time we only had to fight one. At the end of the platforming segment, we get back Vision's instrument and hand it to him, only for him to get booed off the stage by the crowd of Nicks. Now it's time to head into the Fieldmobile and ride off into the forest to find Dr. Touch and Audio. After a quick and easy mountain climb, we find the two of them and enter into their weird sense world to get their instruments. Unlike Vision's segment, all we need to do here is take down a few waves of enemies. These were pretty simple to defeat, especially with the constant heals around the arena. Then my brother and I got the world record for fastest panic attack. Getting the instruments back, the three senses we have now try to go out there, but they get booed off once more. So let's go to the concession stands to find Sniffles and Tasty. The platforming segment above the huge line of people were pretty simple since it relied on a lot of tight ropes. Then when trying to find their instruments, the biggest issue we ran into was another panic attack boss fight. Except for some reason it kept duplicating itself until there were 3 on the board at the same time. I guess it was our punishment for somehow skipping the last one. I don't know what that was about. There were some jumps we had to make for the platforming. However, it was mostly easy, especially with the mental connections making a reappearance.
So is the level just over since you have all the senses?
Well, yeah, basically. Now that the band's back together, the Psychic goes out there to be the head singer and is revealed to be Helmet Fullbear. He's another member of the Psychic Six.
Wait. Why was his brain in Otto's lab, and did he die?
Shush, I'm getting to that. So after a quick and fun musical number, Molecula shows up and forces Helmet to retreat into his quiet place. Here's where we learn the truth. During the battle against Molecula, Helmet believed he was useless after he attempted to sway her back to normal with a monologue. It worked for a few seconds until Molecula returned, and Helmet was struck down and cast into the bottom of a frozen lake where he died. His brain was found by Ford, but due to his mind being shattered, it was tossed into Otto's lab without any warning. Helmet not only lost his life, but also his husband, Bob, the last member of the Psychic Six we haven't mentioned.
So Molecula forced herself into Helmet's mind because he has past trauma of losing everything during the battle against her?
Yeah, exactly. But with the help of Rasputin and also the senses, which are the stand-ins for the Psychic Six, we take down the mental image of Molecula. Helmet's severe sensory overload goes away, and now we have access to the mailroom. Ford's busy doing whatever, so it's time to enter the final of his 3 minds. The premise of this level was simple. Ford's filled with a ton of regret for not sending a love letter to Lucretia after she went to Grulovia. It's here that we also learned that she was pushed into this alter ego due to the former Tsar.
What the heck is a czar?
It's like a king or ruler, someone who has the throne.
Okay, got it. So what was the love letter? Wait, no, don't answer that.
What do you think? He told her that he loved her.
Goodness.
Out of any level in the game, me and my brother did not expect this one to give us such a hard time. It wasn't that it was difficult, moreover, we suck at communicating. The gimmick are these flying envelopes you need to ride to make it to the other end of the mind. Along the way, you'll be forced to jump on top of stamps, slide down a stack of papers, and platform on shelves. It seems easy, however, below you is the void, and also everything was moving way too fast for us to communicate efficiently. Take this part where all we need to do is jump on top of the stamps and reach the inside of the Ford robot. It seems easy enough, however, paired with the janky physics on these things, and the levitation ball just doing whatever, we kept falling. We even got a game over at some point and had to start over from an earlier checkpoint. There was an envelope below we could jump on, but we didn't see it, so it doesn't exist in the first place. At some point, there was a wave of enemies that spawned, including a panic attack, and knowing all of the trouble those things caused in the last mind, my brother told me to just run ahead and skip them. The panic attack clearly didn't like that though, and got in the way, so we had to take it down in a really cramped area, which is somehow more annoying than a big open space. At the end of the mind, we could type in a receiver on the love letter Ford wanted to send. Do you want to guess who we typed in?
Lucretia?
No, it was Lucy. How can you get that wrong? After he sent off the letter, Ford gets one back from Maligula saying Lucy is dead, so he rightfully explodes, allowing us to recover the last fraction of his mind. Now that we've fixed him up, we can finally learn the truth about Lucretia and Ford.
What truth is there to learn? Lucretia drowned a bunch of people, dated Ford.
That was before she fled the people in Grulovia.
Okay, dated Ford, drowned people, and then turned into Maligula. Then the battle against her happened and all the Psychic Six were affected like with Compton and Helmet. What is there to know?
Don't you want to know what fractured Ford's mind?
Well, I've just assumed it was the battle having an effect on him.
No, there's way more to it than that. Ford's fifth and final mind in the game doesn't really have much gameplay involved with it. Sure, we dodge a few sharks and get eaten by one when trying to get an emotional baggage tag, but other than that, there isn't much to this level, except the truth. You see, in the crowd of people Lucretia fled in Grulovia was Raz's grandmother, Morona, who was also Lucretia's sister. After the battle with Maligula, Ford found one of Otto's inventions, the astrolabe, and took it to split Lucretia's personality, sealing Maligula away in her mind. However, he still loved her, but knew the rest of the world would try to kill her, so he decided to hide her away. He chose to hide Lucy within her family, the Aquatos. Ford altered Raz and his family's minds so that they would see Lucretia, not as the great aunt in the family, but as the grandmother, Nona. Lucretia, and in turn Maligula, is Raz's grandmother.
Oh my goodness, so you're telling me the big villain of the story's been close to Rasputin the entire time?
Yeah, it's insane. Raz is rightfully mad about this, but Ford convinces him to help defeat Maligula first before telling his family. So off we go to a new area in the game, the Green Needle Gulch. This was where Psych 6, or 7 I guess, originated and pushed each other to far ends with their psychic abilities. Lucretia is also here too since she for some reason wandered here. As Ford looks after her, we need to find the astrolabe to separate Lucretia and Maligula once again, and finally take her down. However, we're only done with 3/4 of the game, so of course there's a roadblock in our way. Covering the astrolabe are a bunch of vines, but even worse, bees, so we need to find people to get rid of this stuff. This led us to this house surrounded by honey, and inside a member of the Psych 6, Cassiopeia.
Wait, she lives so close to Compton. Why hasn't Compton found her yet?
Because he was locked away in isolation, remember?
Well, yeah, but he's been out for a while now, right?
Yeah.
Then I feel like he should have found her by now.
I guess you have a point. Cassie is stuck inside her house, though. Due to the fact she's taking care of mutated bees, she's constantly being guarded by them, which won't let her leave her house. Naturally, Raz's response is to enter inside Cassie's mind. Okay, to be honest, Cassie's collection might be one of the easiest levels in the game. Well, for us during this challenge. The whole gimmick is that the librarian Cassie wants us to collect the other 3 Cassies so that she can be the only true Cassie.
Why are there 4 Cassies?
Because she split herself into archetypes mentally a long time ago to survive the situations she found herself in, like counterfeiting for a shady business or trying to escape being blackmailed by the cops. She adopted the library archetype to prevent herself from communicating to the outside world after the battle against Maligula.
Why? She had Compton, right?
Well, she did, but she also felt deep guilt and trauma after the battle, and the archetype kicked in, and she left the Psych 6. Our job is to figure out how to unite all 4 Cassies. This involves a lot of easy platforming around books and these weird 2D paper sections. We didn't struggle much like with Coroller's correspondence, so most of the mine was honestly kind of boring. There were a few difficult jumps we had to make while getting evidence against Fanny Flats, Cassie's old counterfeiting boss. Since there's an ink ocean surrounding us, we had to ride on paper boats, which weren't that difficult to use. We just fell a few times due to miscommunications. Oh yeah, we also got a new ability, mental projections. These allow us to make our own archetype and access places we previously couldn't. That's about it for that ability though. The real trouble we encountered were the bane of my brother's existence. Enablers. A new enemy which protects other enemies. We can't hit protected enemies, so taking out the enablers is important. However, they move way too fast, and hitting them up close lets the enablers hit us as well. It led to chaos a lot of the time when they showed up. So my brother decided to pull out pyrokinesis and began burning them instead. That worked. After finding all the evidence against Fanny Flats, we reunite the other 3 Cassies. So using the power of friendship, the librarian Cassie interrupts the reunion and transforms for literally no reason into the boss of this mind, the Librarian.
That's a stupid name.
Her fight's even stupider. We need to shoot her enough times so that she falls over. and then use our archetype to open her mouth so one of the Cassies confused with the library one. Do that 3 times and we win. The issue was that we entered the fight with like 3 hearts remaining, and enemies spawn a lot, especially enablers. So one thing leads to another, we died, and then had to restart. Luckily, the second attempt was very pathetic on her part, since she barely got the chance to attack. After the fight, the library Cassie's size returns to the same as the others and everyone makes up. The Cassies then all come together to reform the true Cassie, allowing us to leave her mind and remove the bees from the astrolates. Oh, and also Compton's here.
Oh, so he just so happens to get here when Cassie's there too?
Yeah, man, it's true love. Now that we've gotten rid of the bees, we need to find someone to remove the vines now. Luckily, there's a tower we can climb with a greenhouse on top. Inside is the final member of the Psychic 6 we haven't met yet, Bob Zanato. This guy's been alone up in this tower, drowning himself in alcohol. This pushed away everyone he knew, and it also attempts to push us as well. However, there's still a part of him that wants help, so we enter his mind with the help of this vine.
So, I'm guessing this is a mind about drinking and the effects it has on people's lives?
Yeah, exactly. Bob's bottles begins on a deserted island where Bob is trying to garden with no seeds. You have to go inside the bottles that wash up on the shore and find seeds to plant. Each bottle is themed off of one of Bob's lost relationships though, his mother, nephew, and husband. Off the bat, the sailing controls aren't too terrible since only I had to focus on moving the door around.
How does someone sail on a door?
It's Psychonauts, don't question it. Anyway, the first bottle we found didn't provide too much difficulty. The bull bobs allow us to avoid the water below. However, they're kind of unpredictable at points. Attempting to platform around under these guys can be annoying, especially with the little communication between the two of us. Luckily, the segment where Raz chases down the moth isn't too long, and we got used to the bull bobs moving weirdly. After that, we face the final new enemy in the game, Bad Moods. These guys are really easy to defeat. Just use clairvoyance on them and find the source of the bad mood.
You said the bottles are themed off of someone Bob was close with, right? What about this one?
This bottle is mainly about his mother and how she passed away when he was young. It's honestly really sad, especially since the developers added voice clips of the younger Bob wondering why his mother is spending a long time in the greenhouse. We get the seed though, so all will be okay. After that, we head to the next bottle, which is themed off of Bob's nephew, Truman Zanato. The story is a little bit out of order, since this takes place after the battle with Maligula, when Bob is in an awful place mentally and having bad moods every day. Truman then fired him, and Bob's been alone since. As for the gameplay in this part, there's a few segments where we carry a bull bob to walk through the water, but those are easy since they limit the controls to just moving around. The wave battle against enemies in the Motherlobe area was looking a bit scary, especially with the combo of bad moods and enablers. However, we got some healing and all was good. With that, we got to the second seed. The final bottle is themed off of Bob's relationship with his husband, Helmut Fulbert.
Oh yeah, I remember him. He was the guy with all the senses, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unlike the last two, Bob remembers Helmut fondly and holds a lot of love for him, leading to the platforming being themed off of their wedding day. There's a few difficult jumps, and the battle at the wedding cake altar was a bit annoying, but nothing was too bad. Once we find the actual altar though, we eject and grab the final seed, much to the moth's dismay.
Who's the moth?
They're the representation of alcohol and escapism from things you need to confront.
You're like 12, how do you know this stuff?
My brother told me. Anyway, returning the seeds to Bob begins the boss fight of the mind. True. I don't know how to say their name to be honest. It's just larger versions of the 3 plants we grew from the seeds, each one looking a lot like the people we saw in those bottles. We had to sail around this whirlpool thing while throwing bombs and shooting back projectiles to defeat them. This might actually be the only instance where co-op made the game easier, since I focused on moving and my brother focused on shooting. It was pretty easy. Halfway through the battle, we attempt to go save Bob from being wrapped up by the moth. However, neither of us knew how to get him out. We shot the cocoon, smacked it, attempted to kill the moth, but none of it worked. So we sat next to Bob and danced as my brother searched it up. Turns out we didn't hit the cocoon enough. Fantastic. After that, the moth spawns a wave of enemies, but those were really easy to defeat since they were just sensors and like one bad mood. Then we go back to the sailing and just throw more bombs at the plants to take them out, getting rid of the moth and letting Bob confront those past memories he left long ago. Exiting his mind, Bob is about to get rid of the vines, but then Nick shows up and the two reunite, even if Bob is confused at first.
Oh right, because Helmut's brain is still in Nick's body. Say, have they found Nick's brain yet?
Nope. With the astrolabe all prepared, Ford gets jump scared by Otto and then the rest of the Psychic Six, and everyone has a reunion. Now that the gang's back together, everyone crowds around the astrolabes, and we enter into Lucretia's mind to defeat Maligula once and for all. Due to the fact Lucy's been living a false life, the first half of her mind is us navigating a construct Ford built of the Aquatic circus. All we need to do is bring this tennis ball up to this hole, throw knives around our cockroach dad.
What the heck did Razz's dad do to be called a cockroach?
No. The Aquatos are cockroaches and this mind shows that they are fake.
Oh, that's my bad.
Continuing on, the last thing we need to do is stop this fast-moving ride and then we're all done. Lucretia takes us to the high dive and jumps off for some reason. We follow her and enter the second half of her mind, her quilt world. This part is actually sweet because Lucy made this herself while with the Aquatos. It represents how she generally had a good life despite living a lie. We also learn here that she was the person that gave Raz a Psychic Summer Camp pamphlet that kickstarted the events of the first game. As for the gameplay, there are a few enemies along our path. However, all we need to do is make it to the end, so we just rush by them. Once we're done with that, we arrive at the dam holding Maligula back. She's going to break out any minute, so using the astrolabe will defeat her. Unfortunately though, there's a wave of enemies to defeat first, and this was quite rough. We didn't have much health, so we couldn't be hit much. The first set of enemies were doubts and one panic attack, which may seem easy, however the doubts kept spawning and took a lot of our health. After that, a few bad ideas, an enabler, and a judge spawned, so of course we tackled the enabler first, which was pretty easy actually. The judge and bad ideas went down smoothly after that. The last wave was a bad mood and a heavy censor, so we decided to take out the censor first and then tackle the bad mood, which worked out and cleared us from the battle with only 2 hit points remaining. After that, we opened the lock in front of the dam and prepared to take Maligula out. However, right as we were about to fight, Raz is pulled out of the mind.
What? Why? By who?
Well, now's your last chance to guess who the mole is in the Psychonauts.
Oh shoot, okay, let me think. So it can't be any of the Psychic Six because we saw their minds. Ford was with us and Lucretia too. Wait a second. Ford, Compton, Helmet, Cassie, Bob. That's 5. Who's the 6th?
Otto?
Exactly. We haven't seen inside Otto's mind, so maybe he's hiding a few evil plans. Also, he had Helmet's brain in his lab and didn't label it, and he was the only member who didn't have any trauma or troubles after the battle against Maligula. There's no way it isn't him.
That's a really good guess. Let's see if you're right. Exiting Lucretia's mind, we figured out it was Truman who brought us out, saying we were looking distressed.
Wait, so Truman's the mole?
Hold up, let me finish. Truman begins acting really strangely, hyperfixating on Maligula. Our fellow intern Norma dragged him here to snitch on us, thinking we were the mole. Luckily, Lily is also here, and she believes her dad isn't acting right. So we both enter Truman's mind for the final level in the game. Off the bat, we find ourselves in this weird room with a golden statue of Truman, surrounded by clothes and a mirror. However, the statue is breakable, revealing who the true owner of this mind is. Want one more guess?
Wait, so this isn't Truman's mind?
No, someone else is in Truman's body.
I still think it's Otto.
Well, you're wrong. It's actually Nick from the mailroom.
You're joking, right?
Nope. The mole in Psychonauts was Nick John Smith, or who he actually is, Gristle Malik. Unlike most minds we've entered, there's no helping we can do here. Gristle instead has a huge ego, because he was going to be the Tsar of Grulovia. However, Maligula drowned the citizens and forced the royal family to run into exile, ruining Gristle's chances. He looks highly of Grulovia, even having a Disney-esque ride explaining how amazing the kingdom was before the evil Ford Crawler defeated Maligula.
Why is he so sad Ford defeated Maligula?
Because Gristle actually believed her to be a protector, especially after she saved him from an angry mob. This was when he was a child, so his view isn't exactly 100%. However, he's kept the same ideals since that day.
Okay, so how does Gristle involve himself with the Psychonauts though?
Well, when his father died inside the Lady Luctopus suite that we raided a while ago, he told Gristle that Maligula is actually alive. And so in an effort to revive Grulovia, Gristle swore to find her. This involved infiltrating the Psychonauts headquarters and posing as the mailman. However, he used Dr. Loboto to kidnap Truman and switch out both their brains so he can take over the head of the Psychonauts and find Maligula. Alright, that's enough of the story since we're not here for that. Along the Glory to Grulovia ride, Raz gets stuck, so we need to platform on a few of the catwalks and turn the ride back on. However, Lily thinks it's a good idea to press the buttons while at the control panel, which sticks a bunch of enemies on us. At first it was manageable because it was just sensors and maybe one heavy sensor. However, then doubts, enablers, and judges came in, and it got chaotic fast. Me and my brother couldn't coordinate who to go for first, which led to a lot of enemies hitting us. It's honestly a shock we even lived the fight with 2 hearts remaining. That did give us an annoying red border on screen for a while though. Next up we had to do a puzzle involving props and the background. It was just a lot of trial and error, but we got it eventually and finally encountered Crystal inside the Lady Luctopus suite, where he's sad because his father died. Though he's honest about the fact he hates his father because he ran them away from Golovia. Crystal then wants us to try Caviar, which does this cool transition thing into a platforming segment rolling on top of an egg. My brother kept jumping here to stabilize our movement, however it most often than not killed us, so I tried to ban him from jumping. That didn't work. We fell many times on this one section. to the point we almost lost all of our health. Luckily, we made it without a game over, and brought the egg over to the treasure room to continue the ride. Having 3 hit points doesn't help though, as after the next section in the ride, we're thrown into another battle against a few enemies, this time around an angry mob. Luckily, we got a few healing items, but that didn't help enough against the doubts and 2 panic attacks spawned on us. We both decided to take out the doubts first, and then focus on panic attacks, which actually worked. With a few close calls, we actually defeated them with 2 hit points remaining, and then died to the judge and heavy sensor that spawned next. The second try went a bit smoother. We still took a bunch of damage, but we defeated the judge and heavy sensor with over half our health left. After a bit of mental connection platforming, we arrive on the final section of the ride and then go to the gift shop at the end. This is where we encounter the real Crystal Malik, or his mind version I guess. After a bit of arguing, he ties us up. Luckily, Lily saves us and we burn down the place before finding out that Truman's real brain is inside some briefcase. So we exit Crystal's mind to go find it. However, we're too late. With all of the higher-ups catching us leaving Truman's mind and the Psych 6 exiting Lucretia's, everyone gets to witness Maligula make her grand reappearance. Not us though, as we run away with Lily. Crystal in Truman's body attempts to bow down to Maligula, and I guess that works, but everyone's still submerged within the water. This leads us to a short platforming segment, escaping the flood of water. It isn't too bad, but the terrain got me a little confused, so my brother guided us through it. Once that's done, we meet with our family, who's all finding out that Nona isn't actually the grandmother of the family. However, we all still care for her, so it's time to save the world. With the family's help, everyone does a circus act and launches Raz towards the typhoon Maligula is creating, and we enter into her mind. Once inside, we navigate the mental road a tiny bit, and finally encounter Maligula for the final boss.
Okay, so this is truly the final battle?
Yeah.
How did it go?
Well, leading up to this, me and my brother were not good at battling much, especially when enemies are involved. However, this was going to be different. It was time to play the best gosh darn Psychonauts 2 of our lives. After a long battle, we beat Maligula, and using Lucy's help we power up and defeat her once and for all.
And that's the end of the game, correct?
Yeah. With Maligula defeated, the flood stops. Our father saves Lucretia, and Lily finds the briefcase with her dad's brain. Back at the Motherlobe, Truman's brain has been restored to him, and Crystal is in isolation like Compton was. All of the Psychic 6 are enjoying their lives again, and all of us interns are promoted to junior Psychonauts.
That's kind of dumb since you basically saved the world, but whatever. So, what do you have to say about the overall challenge?
Well, it was a lot of fun. Being able to do these things with my brother is just great, and I can't wait for him to realize the recordings weren't deleted. Did you enjoy it?
Well, at first, no. But I started getting into the story as we went. It was fun, I'll give you that.
Yes!
Well, that'll be all for now. You may leave.
I'm so going to be famous this time.
Yeah, not sure about that, but we can hope.